Okay, so you guys have been requesting this video for a long time now, and to say the least, who wouldn't want to know more about the terrifying things that pesky robots do to make us think that maybe AI isn't the best idea for humanity? If you want more videos like this to appear on your feed, subscribe to our channel. We post videos like this one every single day. The tragedy of Regina LC. There is no denying that robots will make life easier on Earth, but if scientists and developers aren't cautious enough, things might go wrong, badly. The young machine operator was at usual duty along with her co-workers. All of them were trying to repair a damaged robot. During their repair process, the 20-year-old machine operator got accidentally trapped by the robot, who was reportedly experiencing technical difficulties. Even though she was surrounded by co-workers, no one had the slightest clue on how to release her. Regina eventually passed away in a horrendous and painful death while being strangled by the robot. Another suspicious thing that happened during the situation is that one of the technicians that were a part of the repairing group ran away from the scene while Regina was trapped and suffering in the machine. This was later denied by the company. After the tragic event, the U.S. Labor Department was called to investigate what happened. The company was later found guilty of negligence and fined almost $3 million for breaking 27 safety violations. The racist bot. Yeah, you heard that right. A robot named Tay was released by Microsoft and Bing in 2016. The robot was released on Twitter and a couple of other social platforms. Users soon started talking to her and tested out the robot's ability to have a decent conversation with humans. Microsoft said that the robot was built by using AI technology and mining public data. The robot was even built to have a sense of humor. Up to this point, the whole idea of it sounds pretty decent. For people who were lucky enough to try it, the first few interactions with the robot seemed pretty fine. It felt like you were talking to an actual person rather than a robot. And the more people talked to it, the more the robot was able to communicate with a better vocabulary, and the more opinions it created. But this is where it all went wrong. Since some people on Twitter are completely savage animals, they thought it was funny to spit out racial slurs against the robot. The robot sucked in all this rage and started using it at times when other users started picking a fight against it. In just a matter of hours, the robot was even posting pro-Nazi tweets and calling people the N-word. Microsoft took the robot down immediately after this and told people it would work on it so such a thing would never happen again, and never brought up such an idea ever again. Alexa's party. Okay, so moving forward, this one is a bit funny and crazy at the same time. In 2018, neighbors started hearing a whole lot of noise coming from Oliver Haberstroh's apartment. They heard loud music and the bass was super loud, so they couldn't handle it anymore. So, this one neighbor decided to personally call Oliver and ask him to keep the party in his house down. At that moment, Oliver got confused, as he had no clue what his neighbor was talking about. Oliver was out that night, and his house was empty. The blasting music in his home had become so severe that police bashed Oliver's front door to find out that no one was there. All this time, the Amazon Alexa Oliver had purchased had been playing loud music without anyone telling her to do so. The police then eventually managed to shut down the music, but to this day, no one knows how Alexa was activated all by herself, as this AI robot only activates after getting commands by a clear human voice. The attack of Little Fatty. If you are a little bit confused as to what Little Fatty has to do with robots, don't. It's just the name of the robot that has recently caught the attention of the whole world after it almost killed a little boy. The robot was originally designed to patiently interact with young kids ages 4 to 12. It was built in a way to look friendly and make facial expressions that would be appealing to children. Okay, so this sounds harmless. How did this robot end up becoming a threat? When testing out this robot with a boy, Little Fatty flipped out. At first, he started ramming into a booth, which was horrifying as the shards of glass were flying all over the place. Many of these sharp microscopic pieces of glass ended up in the boy's body after he started bleeding everywhere. He was immediately sent to the hospital where he thankfully made a full recovery. The damage done wasn't too severe, as the little boy only had a few deep cuts on his body. He will sure hate robots for the rest of his life now, though. When developers revealed the problem, they said that the whole fault goes to the operators of the robot. When they were testing it, the operator pushed the forward button instead of the reverse button. But there's something much more cynical about this. According to witnesses, the robot seemed to be frowning during the whole time he was bashing with the booth. That seriously gives us chills. Angry Fred. Fred is a robot that resembles a real-life human. In 2018, the robot was designed and placed at a London club to interact with people and hopefully convince them that it was real. However, the whole thing ended up in a total disaster that would leave many mortified. The robot was created to promote the upcoming series called Westworld, which talks about hyper-realistic robots. The facial design of Fred was designed based on actor Tedroy Newell. Everything was finished and the robot was placed in the Prince Alfred pub in London. At first, everything was going quite smoothly. smoothly. It caught the attention of many people who tried to interact with it, but to no one's expectation, Fred malfunctioned and he harshly broke a glass and ranted about some sort of robot revolution. Isn't that creepy? The suicide of the climate orbiter. The next robot we're going to talk about belongs to NASA. This 745-pound space probe defied all odds when it went berserk. The probe was launched in 1998 on a mission to observe the atmosphere of Mars. This mission was a big deal, as it would give humanity a better understanding of the Earth's neighboring planet. Plus, that thing cost more than $300 million. The probe was all good for the first couple of months, but after reaching Mars, there was something odd about it. The spacecrafter in charge of it had to make 14 different adjustments to the probe's trajectory for it to successfully land on Mars. And on the day of the landing, the mission went as worse as it could go. NASA soon found out that the probe that had cost millions had exploded the moment it touched Mars' atmosphere. But the problem wasn't exactly Mars. After further investigation, researchers found out that the probe had somehow committed suicide. The reason why it had done such a thing was that one of its software had different metrics suffering from the other one. This made the probe get confused and explode while it was landing. The Tesla. Tesla is a self-driving AI that presumably helps people to drive a car without actually driving it. Well, unfortunately, this AI car took the life of a person back in 2016. A U.S. Navy SEAL by the name of Joshua Brown tragically passed away after getting involved in a road accident in Florida. At the moment of the crash, Joshua had put his Tesla on autopilot, meaning that the Tesla was driving itself. But this wasn't completely Tesla's fault. After further investigation, the data taken from the car showed that Joshua had kept his hands on the wheel for only 25 seconds during the whole 37-minute car ride. The car had given him several warnings to keep his hands on the wheel, but he just refused to listen. After a truck pulled up in the middle of a highway, the Tesla smashed into it. Investigations revealed that the Tesla autopilot didn't have the brake feature for the car to automatically stop in unexpected situations. Tesla then announced that this event was the company's first accident in more than 130 million miles. The company also reminded everyone that even though Tesla is a self-driving AI, the person behind the wheel should always be cautious of what is happening on the road. Promobot. The Promobot was created in Russia. It was designed to interact with humans and learn from its environment. Things seemed to be going pretty well until the robot suddenly expressed that he wanted to be free. This was the first robot in history that made a fully planned escape from the laboratory where it was being tested. After breaking free, it ended up in the streets. People quickly got confused by it, and some even contacted the police. The poor robot was caught by the police and sent back to its lab. Developers then reprogrammed it 2 more times, but the robot would still attempt to escape and live free. This is highly confusing, as we can't seem to decide if the robot deserves to be free or exterminated. What do you think? We would love to hear your thoughts on this one. Thanks for staying until the end. See you guys in the next video.